Hey, have you ever stared at a blinking UPS light and wondered if the thing you just bought is actually going to keep your servers up when the power flickers? I've been in that spot more than once, especially when I'm trying to get a small office or a home lab up and running without blowing my budget. The last thing anyone wants is to spend a few $100s on a UPS and then find out it can't hold the load you expected, or that the battery life is nowhere near the claim. So before you click Add to Cart, let's walk through what the APC SMT2200RM2U 2200VA Smart UPS actually brings to the table and see if it's a match for your setup. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this unit is a 2U rack mount model, which immediately tells you it's built for a rack environment rather than a desk. If you're already using a standard 19-inch rack for networking gear, servers, or even a few NAS boxes, the SMT2200RM2U slides right in without taking up extra floor space. That's a big win for anyone who's trying to keep a tidy data center, because you can mount the UPS alongside your other devices and manage cables from a single point. On the flip side, if you're a desktop-only user or you don't have a rack, you'll end up buying a rack mount kit or improvising a shelf, which adds cost and hassle. In short, this is a product for the rack-centric crowd. Now, why does the 2200 VA rating matter? In plain English, it indicates the amount of apparent power the UPS can support. For a modest server lineup, say a dual processor server, a couple of storage drives, and a small switch, you'll typically be looking at somewhere around 1500 to 1800 watts of rail power draw. The SMT2200RM2U can handle that comfortably, giving you a buffer of about 1015 minutes on battery before the power goes flat, according to APC's own runtime charts. That runtime is enough to gracefully shut down services or let a generator kick in. If, however, you plan to run a heavier load, multiple high-end servers, enterprise-grade switches, and perhaps a UPS-backed cooling system, you'll start to feel the strain after a few minutes. So the practical strength here is its sweet spot for small to medium rack installations, but the weakness shows up when you try to overload it. One thing that often gets overlooked is the output waveform. This model supplies true sine wave power, which is the same shape you get from the utility grid. That matters because some sensitive equipment, especially high-end servers, networking gear, or audio-video devices, can generate noise or even shut down when fed with a simulated or stepped waveform. In my own experiments with a mid-range server that runs a virtualization host, the sine wave kept CPU throttling at bay and eliminated the occasional power supply warning that I'd seen with cheaper, simulated wave UPS units. If you're running equipment that's picky about clean power, this is a real advantage. Conversely, if you're only protecting a basic router or a small NAS, you might not notice the difference at all, making the sine wave capability a bit of overkill. Another practical feature is APC's green mode, which is aimed at efficiency. In regular operation, the UPS draws power directly from the wall and only kicks in when there's a voltage sag or outage. Green mode reduces the idle draw by bypassing the inverter when the power is stable, which can shave a few watts off your overall consumption. For a data center that runs 24/7, those savings add up. If you're powering a home lab that's only on during the day, the impact is minimal, but the mode is still nice to have because it means the UPS isn't constantly humming at full capacity. The trade-off is that you lose the immediate power conditioning benefits of the inverter when you're in green mode, so a sudden spike could still reach your equipment before the UPS reacts. In practice, most users haven't hit that edge case, but it's worth noting if you have highly sensitive hardware. The SMT2200RM2U also comes with a small LCD panel on the front. Unlike the older models that only had basic LED indicators, this screen shows input voltage, battery charge, load percentage, and runtime estimates at a glance. It's a practical strength because you don't need to fire up the APC software on a laptop just to see what's happening. I've used it during a brief power dip in my office and could instantly see the load drop to 40% and the remaining runtime extending to 8 minutes. That instant feedback helps you make quick decisions, like whether to switch to a backup generator or safely power down a critical VM. The downside is that the LCD isn't backlit, so in a dark server room you'll have to shine a flashlight or lean in to read the numbers, which isn't ideal for quick checks. Connectivity is another area where this UPS tries to be flexible. It offers both a serial